I discovered my husband's infidelity with our neighbor and proceeded to petition for divorce. Sincerely, I don't sure whether I handled this well, but it's a complete disaster, but we're here. I, a 34-year-old woman, have been married to my 36-year-old husband for 7 years. Life has been quite hard for both of us since we have an 8-year-old kid with autism. Up until a few weeks ago, when everything came apart, I felt like we were handling it as a team, like we were in this together. Everyone in our tiny community is rather friendly, where we dwell. And I got along well with Emily, a 32-year-old woman, and her husband Dave, a 35-year-old man, who lived next door. Although Emily and I didn't get along well, we did talk a lot. Our spouses would occasionally hang together, and our kids occasionally played together. I initially found it admirable that my spouse and Emily appeared to get along, neighbors being cordial. But then something seemed wrong. My spouse started acting more reticently, especially when it came to his phone, and he frequently appeared to run into Emily while I wasn't around. He would occasionally go for walks or find himself unexpectedly in need of running errands after supper. I saw these small details, but I tried not to come across as very suspicious. We've experienced a great deal together, after all. That's not what I expected him to do to me. After then, one day, everything collapsed. I was unaware that our son's school was on a partial day, so I was forced to leave work early. My spouse and Emily were in our bedroom when I walked in our bed together. It seemed as though time had stopped. When they spotted me, they both freaked out, my husband frantically trying to get clothing, and Emily sobbing and apologizing profusely. I was unable to comprehend it, shaking. I just left and went to pick up my son from school. When I confronted him later that evening, he confessed to having an affair with her over the previous few months. He pleaded with me to pardon him, declared that it was a foolish and impetuous action, and assured me that he loved me and didn't want to lose our family. Even though I was devastated, I was unable to look at him. I didn't know what to do, but I realized that someone who would betray me like that could not be my partner. And then there was Dave, Emily's spouse. I was familiar enough with him to know that he was totally unaware of this. I couldn't just be quiet and let myself to take him by surprise. I told Dave everything the next day when I went over to their house while Emily was out. I even showed him all of my evidence, including texts and photos. Though visibly saddened, he thanked me for being straight with him. At that point, the actual drama began. When my husband and Emily realized that I had told Dave, they both lost it. For the benefit of our son, my spouse remarked, I ought to have kept it between us and worked things out. Emily called me a lot of nasty names, claiming that I had wrecked her life and that I had no right to inform her husband. She even said that I exaggerated everything and that it wasn't serious. Now that I've filed for divorce, Dave is thinking about divorcing her. However, a lot of our shared acquaintances are criticizing me, claiming that telling Dave went too far. And that, in order to prevent severing two families, I ought to have made an effort to keep things quiet. Though I think I did what had to be done, I'm starting to doubt my own judgment. Am I the moron for alerting Emily's husband about the affair and divorcing my marriage? Should I have said nothing or taken a different approach? Not the fool, but some remarks. Divorcing your husband and informing your neighbor was the correct thing to do. This has been going on for a while, so it was definitely not an accident. I wish you luck. I appreciate your help. They had been misbehaving for some months. It wasn't an error. Period. Adulterers do not get to dictate how you handle the affair. Who is this to try to hold you accountable for what you did? How could you have continued to act as if nothing had occurred, even though you saw Dave moving forward? So were you simply meant to stare at Dave every day and watch him get made fun of while pretending like nothing special? This shifts part of the accountability for the affair from them to you. Not at all. Nothing they did was ruined by you. Inform your loved ones that you are fine with them not agreeing with you and not talking about it with you going forward. Though it will be difficult, resist the want to feel bad for anyone. Not the imbecile, but you. I am very sorry that this occurred to you. Additionally, tell your POS spouse to stop talking and pay attention to this. Tell his family, your family, and your close friends that you are filing for divorce. For those who are unaware, the reason for the filing is that you discovered him and Emily having an affair in bed. They had an affair, which is what they did to themselves. You tell her effing sass that by effing my husband, you damaged your own effing life. To the rest of your relatives and friends who consistently tell you that you crossed boundaries, inform them of this. FAT, I appreciate you demonstrating your support for rude, ignorant people. I now recognize my true relatives and friends. Correct. Get a few pals to help you dispose of your mattress and bed. That poison garbage is not what you want to sleep on. I'm grateful. You may be confident that everyone will learn about what he did. Narrative 2. I have emotions for Bill, therefore I need my husband's approval before we move to another city. My 39-year-old spouse, a sister, and a 50-year-old man of 11 years. 41 women are really close. We frequently run across her 40-year-old spouse Bill. We always have Sunday supper together, either at our house or theirs. We are always together with SIL's 3 kids and myself, however there are occasions when we are joined by relatives from my husband's or my side of the family. I'm really good friends with Bill and SIL. We never had problems. I'd been feeling something for Bill for over 5 years. I'm sure this place would refer to it as an emotional affair. However, not yet. I kept it a secret, and no one found out. I adore my hubby and don't want to jeopardize our wonderful union. We are awesome together and our bond is strong. My feelings for Bill were very confusing at first and I went years without realizing what they were because I love my husband, so how can I love another? When Bill turned 40, they had a big party and I stayed after to clean. Because SIL had to take care of the children, so it was me and Bill cleaning. He was still a bit tipsy, and he told me that he's been in love with me since I married my husband. I was shocked. He has always been nice to me and complimented me, but I never felt anything more. I tried to ignore him, so he said it again. I told him to go to bed. He tried to argue, but I insisted that he went to bed and let me clean by myself. He probably knows that I love him too, because of something he said. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we stopped pretending and just told them? We only live once. How did he know? I cried for weeks afterwards, and when my husband saw that I was sad, he was very concerned and was so nice to me, and it made me cry even more. The guilt is physically painful. I have developed ulcers. This happened last summer, and ever since I've tried to avoid seeing SIL and Bill. With how frequent we met before, there was never one good excuse. Soon my husband was irritated with me, accusing me of not liking his family. SIL called a few times to wonder. Now she has started saying that I wanted to come between her and her brother because I never liked their closeness. I go to the dinners and ignore Bill altogether, and SIL is mad that it feels like I hate her when I actually love her like a sister. My husband got a new job offer, a city that's 20 hours away. I want him to take it. But it's in a very small town, and he is surprised that I, a renowned city girl, want to move to a small town. I don't know what to do. I want my husband to take this job, but I don't know how to convince him. Bill texted me begging not to do it, and he promised not to bother me again, but just not to move away. It doesn't sit well with me. As long as it was one-sided, it felt less serious, but now it feels like an emotional affair and I don't want to be in it. What can I do? Relevant comments. Take the emotions out of it for a minute. I'm guessing by the close relationship and frequency of dinners that you're still in your hometown. How good is this job for husband's career? How about the effect on yours? Try to make a pro, cons list for the good and the bad about the move, keeping your feelings out of it. Focus on yourselves. Maybe you want to expand your horizons. Small towns can have big community feels. You can get a bigger home or land for less money. Maybe you have hobbies you need more space for. Maybe lower cost of living lets you save more so you can travel more. All things worth discussing. It's a career jump for my husband, but the con is that it's a very small and secluded town. I can find job too, so it won't hurt my career. That's my problem. We always socialize with my in-laws. Every Sunday at least. Now I know how he feels about me. It's uncomfortable and feels like cheating. You seem like a thoughtful person who wants to do the right thing. The universe sometimes creates a way. The career jump for husband with the move sounds like a good option, and exactly what the doctor ordered. New place, new job, bigger house, explore some new interests, and breath easy and no more ulcers. Wish you the best. E.T. Please don't feed off the Reddit drama and advice that you have to confess to a non-event. Nothing happened between you and your Bill. To avoid imploding 3 families, take his drunken comments, confession to the grave, and pretend it never happened. Put some distance between so that things cool off. I, a married woman, developed feelings for a good friend of both myself and my husband. He is also married. I wouldn't necessarily call it love, but it was one hell of a crush. I did the only thing I could think of. I told my husband I can't hang out with him anymore. Here's why. He lived a couple of hours away, so it was easier to find excuses. I always had to work. We couldn't find a babysitter. My husband was understanding, gave me quite a bit of teasing, and allowed me to back away gracefully from the friendship. It took 3 years for my feelings to go away, and even then it was because my husband came back from a visit and told me our friend had picked up smoking, again, after years and years of quitting, which is a huge turn-off for me. I don't know your marriage or your situation. I don't know if being honest with your husband about your Bill and why you want him to take the job would help or not. But I think my situation was made easier because my husband and I have complete trust with each other over the fact that neither of us would ever cheat. This is some good advice. Op should really tell hubby something along the lines of, I want to be honest with you. Sum up the post. I only love you, no one else. I need distance from Bill. I love you and your family, and I have never once acted on this little crush. But I need space from him. Our love is the most important thing in the world to me. Another commenter posted to think about pros and cons without putting feelings into perspective. Mention those in the convo. Ask how he feels, what he's thinking, concerns, etc. Update. My husband is hesitant about taking the new job in the new city. Hi, I was here a week ago. Read that post because I will not repeat my story. I honestly didn't expect to be so judged and hated. I read my post over and over again, trying to understand where there could have been any misunderstanding about me being interested in acting on my feelings. There was none, so I guess people just wanted to judge, which is sad because I have seen how people can be supportive in here. Anyhow, I stumbled upon a few kind souls that didn't treat me like I was disgusting human garbage, so I'm here again with an update because my life just got more complicated, and I'm so desperate. Those who read my first post know that I haven't talked to anybody about this. I want to stress the point that I have never once contemplated acting on my feelings toward Bill, not even when he confessed that he had feelings for me. On the contrary, when he told me that he was in love with me, I was more adamant to do everything in my power to forget him. I have never spoken or looked his way since that confession, and I'm not planning to ever speak to him again either. After my post, I had a talk again to my husband about the job in the little town. I told him that I wanted the new adventure, especially when it came with a 25% increase in his salary and a higher-up position. My husband has been complaining about how he isn't advancing in his career in our city. I told him that this could be the step he needed. I'm a nurse and I could easily find jobs anywhere we went, because we have a shortage in healthcare staff everywhere. The idea started to grow on him. He was skeptical because of the distance to our families, but he was intrigued. He booked a job interview that is supposed to happen on Wednesday. If he took the job, we would be relocating around New Year. I was so hopeful that I could finally breathe. Today is Sunday, and it was, per usual, the day we meet up with family for dinner. This did happen this week, however, and I'm spending this Sunday alone. My husband is staying with SIL because earlier this week Bill broke the news to her that he wanted a divorce. SIL is beside herself with shock, and my husband is there to try and mediate between her and her husband. Bill is refusing to talk to any of them, and has only been there twice to see the kids. My husband told me now that he couldn't take this job because he needed to stay here and support his sister. I understand where he is coming from, but for me all the horror and anxiety is back. What can I do? I feel trapped, like the walls are closing in around me. I can't tell my husband my true reasons. I have tried so many times, but I just can't do it. I love him so much, and I know him very well. He will be hurt and devastated. We have had issues throughout our marriage with him not being able to perform due to health problems, and we haven't had sex in over 8 years. He is so self-conscious about. I just can't hurt him about something like this. I think my options now are to stay put and support my husband and SIL. If Bill and SIL can save their marriage in any way, then maybe my husband could find a new job opportunity in another city in the future and agree to move. If they divorce, then I won't be seeing Bill anymore. Some comments. You need to be careful now. If they divorce, being free, he may start pursuing you and will make it obvious and known to both your husband and SIL. When situation calms, you may need to inform both husband and SIL of his interest in you. You need to avoid Bill and prepare for his romance assault on you. Be prepared. Yes, I have blocked Bill everywhere, and he hasn't tried to contact me yet. I don't know what I should tell my husband. I'm terrified because I'm scared that he would choose SIL over me if it came out and she started hating me. From what I gathered from your posts, you have experienced that your husband always chooses his sister over you. Right? Now you don't want this thing to come out because your SIL will probably blame you for the destruction of her marriage, and you are afraid that your husband, who already feels inadequate because of the intimacy issues, will choose his sister. Like he has done in the smaller matters during your whole marriage. Yeah, I understand your fear, but you really should come clean to your husband. Bill is a ticking bomb, and your husband has to hear this from you. If he left you, punished you over something you can't control, or chose SIL's side, then he is not the man for you, is he? Be honest. For your own sake and his. Yes, deep down I know he will choose his sister, and that he will hate me forever. I know he would choose her even if I haven't done anything wrong, to be honest. I was just hoping that Bill is decent enough not to talk about this. Now I made it clear that I didn't want to talk about it. So your husband has always been like this. I found it odd when I read your first post that you have every Sunday dinner with your SIL and her family. It feels like your husband and SIL are the dominant partners, and you may have felt like the second in your husband's life. This could explain why you started having feelings for Bill. Time for you to step out of the shadow and be the first priority. To be the leading role in your own story. Be true to yourself and don't be afraid. If you lose your husband, it just means that you never really want him to begin with. Tell him the truth and let him leave you if he doesn't choose you. You deserve better. And by the way, anyone who tells you that you are cheating can go F themselves. Because believe me, cheating is so much worse. Oh, can I text you in private? Felt like you know me in my life. I started crying reading your comments. I'm sorry if I'm intruding on your privacy. Update, I'm leaving my husband, and I know that I'm being a horrible, selfish person for it. I don't know how I feel about this. It is probably too early for me to do this horrible thing when my SIL just got separated, but I don't see any improvement in the horizon. Please read my other posts for context, but if you don't want to, SIL and Bill has separated about a month ago, and my husband has been busy being SIL's support. When my husband told me he was not taking the job up north because of SIL's marital problems, I understood that and was supportive. We have always been close to my SIL, and my husband loves his sister and her children. I always admired their bond because I was never this close to my family. He stopped spending weekends with me and instead staying with SIL and the children, and even several days a week when he doesn't even text me after work that he was spending the evening with the children. I didn't mind it because this is all new and SIL isn't coping well after the separation. I told my husband that I missed him though, and that I wanted to be with him, and maybe I should tag along some days. He said that I was being selfish for wanting the attention now. His sister needed the support, I should be more understanding. She and Bill have been together since they were very young, and she wasn't adjusting well with these new changes. I felt horrible, and so selfish. I thought that I should be supportive. Every Christmas on Boxing Day, my husband and I travel to somewhere warm and spend 2 to 3 weeks. It has been our tradition since we met. We booked this trip months early, April. Yesterday when I was talking about our trip, my husband was so surprised. He said that he was actually astonished that I thought that we would just go on with our plans when SIL's life is turned upside down. I told him that this was our thing and that his sister has her own family. I wanted my family him. I told him that I fully understood that she needs his support, but that I've been very lonely lately. He told me to drop the subject. Today I chatted with the traveling agency to see if I could add my SIL and her children. I thought that maybe it would be a good change of climate. Well, they would have to take a separate flight, but other than that it was possible, even with such short notice, to add them, so I called my husband to tell him the news. He was very excited. When he came home later, he told me that his sister didn't agree, however, so we are staying. I asked him why, and he said that she didn't want to be around happy couples right now. It was all I could do to hold back my tears. When my husband got that job offer in the small town up north, I started browsing job opportunities and I sent my CV around. One hospital answered me a week ago. I think I want to take the job. After what happened today, I just logged in and made an appointment for a job interview. I know that my SIL is hurting and that my husband is admirable for being there for her. This is all just so new for everyone, and a big life change for SIL and her children, but I feel like I'm no two in my own life. I feel neglected and like I have the supporting role in my own movie. I'm leaving my husband. I'm taking the new job and I will go with the plans and move to that small town and get away from everything and everyone. I think I need this new start. Judge me all you want. I know you will. Edit for update. I never expected the amount of the heartwarming comments and the awards. I have been crying since yesterday reading your beautiful DMs. I felt like some of you hit the nail on many details that I have left out, and I'm astounded and even scared that some of you seem to know my innermost thoughts and fears, but then I remember that nobody who knows me in person knows any of this. I love my husband. I will probably never love anyone like I love him, but yes, I have been very unhappy for a long time. As I said, I always admired my husband for the love he has for his sister. He basically raised her because their parents were having issues, and she was left for him to raise when he was a child himself. His warmth and compassion is what made me fall for him, but does it make sense that it is also what's making me miserable? I have always known I'm his second, but I have always thought that this will change with time. First I thought because I'm not family, and after I became his wife I thought because we don't have children. When SIL started having children, I felt that I was pushed down the ladder of my husband's priorities. I have told him this before, and he just told me I was being ridiculous competing with children. I remember telling him that it wasn't just that. We should be each other's priority, because even if his sister loves him, he is not her priority and never will be because she has a family now. We never agreed on this matter. I felt like there was some truth in what he said too. I was competing with children and his sister. Besides, I thought he would be there when I needed him. Except he wasn't. My mental health has been declining this year, but he wasn't as warm and compassionate as I always known him to be, the very things that made me so much in love with him. Not only that, but in the months since Bill opened up to me about his feelings, my husband has never once tried to listen to me. Never once tried to understand why I wasn't wanting to go to Sunday dinner with them, and never once said he was staying with me instead of me when it was obvious I didn't want to go. On the contrary, it began to bother him. In spite of the physical reaction my body was having to my mental condition. I've had ulcers, lost an insane amount of weight, and lost my hair. I guess him calling off the Christmas vacation was the last straw. I really adore him so much. He spoke with me this morning before leaving to visit his sister. I told him he's known for a few months now that I'm unhappy, and that I want to go out of this city. I told him I could no longer do it, and I apologized for picking this really inconvenient time when his sister was in suffering. He turned to face me, and I was struck by the disappointment in his eyes as he stayed silent. He was shocked by my indifference to a family member in need and my wish to go about my life normally. Should we ever forsake our tradition when it was needed elsewhere? Would the world end? Because I couldn't express myself to him, I sobbed, even though, to put it plainly, he was right. I think this is me moping about a trip. I told him I was out of here. We are all talking over each other, and none of us wants to understand the other. He left. He texted me to let me know that he has never thought of me as egotistical, and that if I should make my own decisions, he's not going to obstruct me. I don't know if he'll come back. Thank you for sticking around until the very end. We would be very grateful if you could subscribe, like, and share our videos. I'm hoping you have a fantastic day.